Hello! So we are going to make a Suffolk Puff Christmas garland, or you can make it a everyday garland, whatever you feel, whatever sort of fabrics you want to go with. So first off, I'm gonna make two different kinds of Suffolk Puff. This one with a raw edge, and then a turned edge one, which I haven't got an example of with me, but I will show you that one first. So what I've done is I've drawn myself a circle on a piece of card, and I'll use this to draw around. So just get yourself some fabric, anything. Light cotton or poly cotton is probably the best for this kind of thing, because you want it to be a little bit malleable. So get a pen and just, doesn't have to be a perfect circle, but just roughly. I mean, you might be able to cut them freehand, but I can't. I need a bit of a guide. So yeah, that's just out of an old piece of an Amazon packaging. So just draw around and then cut your circle out. I mean, let's just get rid of that out of the way. As I say, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure you're not going to be able to see the pen. This is heat removable, but I won't be ironing it this time. You can iron them, but I like them quite puffy, hence the name Suffolk Puff, or yo-yos if you're in the States. Like I say, you don't have to have a perfect circle. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so you want your wrong side facing, and a needle, a longish needle, probably a straw needle, milliner's needle, or long darner, something like that, with a double thread, not in the end. And for the first one, we're going to do a turned edge Suffolk Puff, and you want to turn a little tiny hem and start a running stitch. Oh, I'm just going to pull that through because it feels a bit. Okay, and then you're going to go all the way around, turning over a little tiny hem. Don't make it too big, because it'll make your little puff a little bit too bulky. Try and do a little bit at a time around each stitch. As I say, you can do this in any colour fabric. I'm just doing a Christmas one, but having said that, my kitchen's got accents of red in it, so maybe it won't go back in the box once Christmas is over. I use a double thread, just to give, when you'll see at the end why, just gives it a little bit of strength. Oh, why was my thread? I just saw that out. That's it. Yeah, I mean, you could use anything really, a bit of embroidery thread. This is just ordinary machine or sewing thread. Cotton. It just, and you don't have to have it contrasting, you can have it to stand out, but you won't really see it once we've come to the final piece. Make your stitches really small, no bigger than, what would I say, probably about 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 centimetre. got Reggie here, so if he starts barking, I apologise. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you know Reggie and Gertrude. They are my little cat and dog, and they always have to be in on the act. Ooh. These take a little bit of time once you get... I'm trying not to go off the camera, but once you get into them and you've cut out all of your discs, all of your circles, you can sit and do these of an evening when you're maybe watching TV or something like that. I've been known to take them to the cinema and sit in the dark doing them. Well, not in the dark, but sit and do them by the light of the screen when the kids were little and I had to go and watch the things that I didn't want to particularly go and see. So they are quite mindful. I'm going to try not to go through that. So then what you want to do, once you've gone all the way round, is pull your thread until it meets, and you get like a little, what would you say, a little bonnet or shower cap type shape. Okay, for this I'm going to pull quite tightly, maybe not on this one, don't seem to want to pull tight there. Yeah, okay, pull it quite tight so all your little gather is more or less the same size, and then you want to give it a little finishing off stitch or two so it doesn't come undone. Like I say, you won't see this thread, and then just finish off. Okay, you can iron these. I don't, because I like them puffy, but I do see people that do iron them, and usually the vintage ones are ironed, but you can move your little gathers around, space them out a bit more, okay, just to even them up. But that's a turned edge Suffolk Puff. So, but for this garland, because I'm putting a button on, I'm just going to do a raw edge Suffolk Puff. So again, wrong side facing, you want to just do a running stitch all the way around without turning the edging. Okay. Little, again, tiny stitches, not too tiny because you don't want your gathers to be quite noticeable. If you do them too tiny or too big, they don't stand out. Or if you do them too big, they'd stand off your fabric quite a lot. But like I say, these raw edge ones are the simplest. But because I'm covering it up with a button, this is what I'm doing. I'm using this technique. So you'll want to make as many of these as you think you're going to need for a certain space. If you do a 3.5 centimetre or 9 centimetre circle, it's roughly half the size. So whatever size you might want to do, a big or smaller, your circle's usually it finishes up half its size. So you might want to work out how many you can do. I don't know. I've just sort of gone in my head a certain amount, probably about 12. Right, so same technique again. Oops, come back, pull. Into a little. But you need a double thread because you have to pull quite tightly. And if you do it with single thread, it will tend to snap. Okay, so just adjust it round, give it a bit of a wiggle. And then, again, just fasten it off just with a few stitches. A few stop stitches. Just go backwards and forwards. Oh. Probably only want three or four. Just to stop it unravelling. Okay. So, you're going to make as many of those as you want for your garland. So I'm going along with, can either have a star or a heart. Some of these fabrics I've had a while. Some of them I've been and bought because they're Christmassy, and I think I might go stars on. So I've got sort of got 3 dark and 3 white with a white background. Right? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Wonderful. So I'm going to sew these on before I get my garland together. I'm just going to use a PEARLE thread and pop a little stitch in. Oh, I might need a thimble to go through that. Just have a look. Just grab one, just in case. So try and put your knot up here, because you don't want your thread to go through this. It doesn't matter if it does, but ideally you want to stick with your thread on this and not go all the way through. But again, it's not a major problem if you do. Oh, what's happened here? Okay. Just do a couple of stitches. Because it's not actually going to be fastened onto anything. Just want to make it so it's, and just secure it in. You can use machine thread, of any colour you want. Don't worry too much about that. I'm just using what I've got basically. So keep going. I'll do one of each colour. So I'm going to come up through the centre. These buttons are a bit weird because they've got like the holes are low down, they're not quite centre, are they? So back again. I mean, you could glue these on if you've got hot glue gun. seem to get a bit of thread. That might be easier for you if you're not very good at hand sewing. Just make sure your needle goes through your hole in your button. I did thread up a needle and it didn't go through, so typical. I'm not trying to secure these on for longevity. I'm just tacking them down really, just giving them a little bit of a... That's why I say you could glue them on if you want. A bit of hot glue gun. Or you could do both. Just for... Oops. Oh. Okay. Use any buttons you've got. These are ones that I've had from some craft shop somewhere over the years that I've never quite found what I want to use them for, but came across them in my stash and thought, yep, I know what I'll use those for. Okay. Couple more. Oops. I'm filming this at the beginning of November, and it is an absolutely glorious day. Really lovely. Beautiful sunshine. I can hear people doing, I would say, the final cut of the grass of the season. You don't want to go through, do you? Oh. One more, and I will then show you what I'll do, how to finish it off. If I was clever, I'd speed it up, but I don't know how to. Thank you. My son bringing me a cup of tea. Trying to be quiet. Okay, so a bit of a recap. Cut yourself a circle, cut yourself some circles of fabric, do a running stitch around, pull them up tight, make them into a little puff. Then you can add a button. You don't have to add a button at all. I just thought they looked quite sweet. So I'm going to go odd. In around, I think, that sort of a pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'd probably do, I would go probably 12 for now. So I want to do, I'm going to do a little star, a little wooden star, and a couple of beads, I think, in between each one. Yeah, and you can, I've got this, oh, what do they call it, baker's twine, but I don't know, I'm going to have a go, see if it'll go through this on a with a thickish needle. If not, I'll go back to the oh goodness me, the cotton pearl. So you want quite a thick-eyed, a big-eyed needle, but you want it to be sharp. Don't want to thread, does it? Just going to see if it'll go through the fabric first. I'm just going to have a look, see if I've got a bigger-eyed needle. What's that one? Let me see if it'll go through that. Don't want to go through that at all. That's a bit better. It's just whether or not this needle will go through. You're just going to have a little play and see. So I want to come up in. I'm keeping this on the spool because I don't quite know how long. I want to come inside. So you're going in. You can see I'm inside there. And then I'm going to come out the other end. And we'll see if the fabric's... Oh, no, it's come through. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. I will add some on the end, some more beads on the end when I've... Right, I think I might do 2 beads. Oh, 2 beads, 1 star. These little beads you can get anywhere. These macrame kind of beady type things, aren't they? So just pull that along. You want your heart, make sure that's the right way up or one way up. Just make sure I'm in the camera. So I'm coming in at the edge. You might have to just, in the edge. And I'm going straight across. Try not to catch any of your fabric. Where am I coming? About there. So you don't want to be catching any fabric either side. You want to be hiding this string. This baker's twine. It might not come through. Give it a tug. Are you coming? Yeah. Oh, it didn't like, yeah. Okay. Try not to pull too, give it a twist. I've realised. Yeah. So another 2 beads. 1, 2, 1 star, 1, 2 beads. And again, next, just I'm having to sort of split that because it doesn't want to go through there. Try not to get any of your fabric. If you wiggle, it shouldn't catch any fabric, but make sure you're going straight across because you want your needle is going straight across the middle because you want it to be hanging evenly. Right, we're through. Lovely. I'll space these out once we've attached everything. 2 beads, a star, another 2 beads. Wonderful. As I say, you can add as many or as little as you want. Again, if you're using a heart or one that's, make sure a button that's got some kind of shape to it that has a right way up. Make sure it's at the right. It is the right way up. Straight across and through. Just give it a little bit. Some of the fabrics are easier than others. They must have a wider warp and weft weave. But if you struggle with your hands, just use some cotton pearle or some wool. Wool would be probably easier. Just need a few more beads out. Because it's quite resistant. In through the side. You might have glass beads. Use what you've got. Don't go out buying special beads unless you have bought the little kit, of course. Oh, doesn't want to come through. There we are. Little kit from the shop, from the online shop. Then you'll get all this in. All your beads in. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. Straight across. Oh, yeah, you just need to be a little bit forceful when you're pulling through, pulling your needle through. So, this is what, I don't think this is quite long enough for where I'd want it, but as I say, I'm going to do, and the kit has enough for 12 Suffolk Puffs. Okay, so when you get to the end, you can add a star and a bead, or a couple of stars and a bead, or just a bead, whatever is your preference. Might be just a couple of beads, and then tie a knot, and then tie a loop. I'm not going to do that right now, but I will show you what I've a picture of the end. Okay, so you want to, once you've done your Suffolk Puffs, you can either stitch on a button like I'm doing, or get a hot glue gun and stick it on, whichever's easiest for you, whichever works for you. So I've got cotton pearl. You can use machine thread or whatever you've got. I'm just doing mine in a red cotton pearl, and I've tied a knot in the end. I'm coming up through the gathered bit. I'm not going to sew through this bit. I'm not coming up and down because I don't want that to be seen. I'm going to come up through there. This is not fixed on for, I'm not stitching this on, you know, to use as a button that's in use, so it's just decorative. So just, you can either put one stitch through, ooh, just wiggle it around a bit, one stitch through or a couple of stitches through. I'm going to put two, just do, and not really for any other reason, but it fills the hole a little bit more. I think one stitch would be enough. You don't need to knot it or anything like that. Well, you can, but I'm not. I'm going stars on the darker ones. These buttons are just from the craft shop somewhere that I've had in my stash. You will get some of these if you are buying the kit, or if you're on one of my in-person workshops, you'll probably have these choice of these buttons. I'm running out of thread, but I don't want to re-thread my needle, so I'm just trying to be as frugal as I can with my thread. Like I say, you can go up and down, but if you are going up and down, try and make your neat. You could do like a little cross stitch, I suppose, on the back. Make a neat stitch. Or you could do two buttons, one on the back, one on the front. Okay. Will I just squeeze another one out of this? Ooh, we'll see. Let's see. Oh. Don't do this. I just don't want to stop the camera again and have to edit it all in, because I've already filmed and forgot to press play. So I'm sort of going backwards, working backwards. I've got glitter on my nail varnish and it keeps coming off. I don't know whether you can see it. I thought because I'm doing a Christmassy thing, I thought I'll do a little red Christmas nail varnish, but it's sort of distracting me, shall we say. Okay, right. Yeah, that'll do. Just fasten it back in. This fabric's not as soft as the rest. Right, oh, just enough look. Just pop that back in there. So we'll start threading these onto the bunting, onto the garland, and I'll show you that. I'll come back and show you that shortly. Okay, so once you've finished threading all your Suffolk Puffs and your beads, you'll want to make a little loop on the end. So you'll finish that off. I put 2 beads on just as a stopper. I didn't bother with the star, just felt it was a bit too much. And then I just did a little loop. Okay, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to adjust it. So I'm flattening out all my little puffs so they're all sitting nicely. Just move along. pushing up. Sorry, I've gone off the centre. Don't want them pushing up, squeezing it up like. I want them to make sure that they're flat. So you want to make sure you pull in that bit. I'm just butting it up to there. See, I don't want it to look like that. So just flatten it out a bit, adjust it. Just pull it along, nice and gently. Yeah, I don't want them all screwed up. You want to be able to see what you're doing. You want to be able to see the puff itself. You want to be able to see the shape of it. If you've gone through your Suffolk Puff both ways, up and down, and put a button on or put a little cross stitch on, you'll probably have to come this side, either side of that stitch with your twine. So just be sort of mindful of that when you're stitching them up. But if you've glued them, you won't notice that bit. So I'm just pulling them. They don't have to be tight, they just have to be even. Okay. And I've got about 15 centimetres, so that's about 6 inches that I've left at that end. And I'm going to just come across and just trim this off, make it a bit longer, thread your needle up. You can do this before you start, but I wasn't quite sure whether or not I was going to do 2 on the end, so I just didn't. Okay, so that's my stopper. Pull my needle off, give it about, so roughly the same sort of length of thread. So around about 6 inches, 15 centimetres, and just make a loop. Okay, that's it. Snip that off. And that's it, we're done. Just put that in there, out of the way. And you've got a pretty garland. You can make this in any colour. I've just happened to do Christmas colours. You can make it in anything you've got. A bit little old clothes, old for a nursery, clothes, you know, old baby clothes, or for a bedroom you might want to do something that your kids like, sort of dinosaur-y things or something like that, that goes with their decor. It doesn't have to be Christmas. I'm just doing Christmas because that's what time of year it is, and that's where I've come to that conclusion, basically. So you can do whatever you like. So happy stitching, and please do post in the group, the Facebook group, your finished garlands. I always love to see them. And have a lovely Christmas if you're making this at Christmas time.